I can see the headlines. Justice League fails. Clown kills millions.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's the latest game from NetherRealm Studios.
It's Jason getting his ass kicked again.
Again and again and again. Yes, everybody, it's Injustice Gods Among Us. I am Green Professor, and I have with me Super Jason and Bat Nick. And
Bat Nick? No, come on. Wonder Nick.
I knew you were going to
Nick.
make that fucking joke, you twat.
Wonder Nick, Princess of Themyscira.
I actually
Real
thought that
original.
I thought you were going to argue over the Bat moniker, and it was going to be like from Reservoir Dogs, where you got 12 guys arguing over who gets to be Bat Larry or whatever it is. So for those of you who have been paying attention, this is Injustice Gods Among Us. This is the latest from NetherRealm Studios, who last time we saw them, they were making Mortal Kombat 9, and given the fact that the last game before that with Mortal Kombat characters, Mortal Kombat versus DC, seems like there's a weird incestuous relationship between the DC universe and Mortal Kombat. Like, I don't really know what that's about, but fortunately, this time around, they've taken out all of the Mortal Kombat parts of it, so you don't get to, pull Superman's spine out with Sub-Zero or anything like that.
Yeah, because that would suck, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Oh, DC would never allow that. You can't pull Superman's spine out. But you know what? In a lot of ways, this is very, very, very similar to Mortal Kombat 9, I guess you would call it, that came out a couple of years ago. In that it has a very long, very intricate, not as long as Mortal Kombat, but a very long, very intricate story mode, and then basically just an ass load of single-player, multiplayer features. For those of you who haven't played Mortal Kombat 9, the story mode basically involves this actual, like with cutscenes and a story, and you move between different characters, story mode that tells what is probably the only thing that I really have to criticize about this game. A really not very good DC Universe story that we've seen. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I've read a bunch of DC comics, and I've seen the whole, oh no, the heroes are evil now thing like 100 million times. It is probably the least original story that I could have thought of for them to have used for this game.
I think it's the only way you could really get a chance to fight everyone, because it would be boring if it was just like the good guys versus the bad guys. Like this gives everyone a range, like, oh, I wonder who would win in a fight, Batman and Superman, or like the Joker versus Nightwing and stuff. So I mean, it's serviceable. It's not original by any stretch of the imagination, but it's serviceable.
Yeah, the story basically involves a parallel universe where the Joker tricks Superman.
This ought to be interesting.
Yeah, into killing Lois Lane and Baby Kent. I
wish we saw that, actually. That would have been quite funny. I think. Superman beating the shit out of Lois Lane.
I think it may have been in the Injustice comic book.
No, they totally did, because I was talking with Chuck Christ, and I don't know why he was reading this, probably because he works for DC Online, and they get access to the entire DC archives, but he was reading this, and he says, the Joker... None of this, by the way, folks, is in the game, but the Joker basically infects Superman with Scarecrow's fear gas and makes Superman think that Lois Lane is Doomsday, and so Superman starts beating the shit out of Doomsday, which, seriously, if Superman thought he was fighting Doomsday and punched Doomsday in the face, wouldn't Lois's head just explode, like in Scanners and shit?
Well, I think he actually punches her into orbit.
Well, yeah, he takes her up into space and, punches her to death in orbit. At which point, there is a nuclear bomb in Metropolis that is keyed to Lois's vital signs. So when he kills Lois, it sets off the nuclear bomb. Even for comic book standards, this is pretty dumb, you guys. I mean, Jason, you read a lot of comics. What did you think about this story?
It was stupid.
Okay.
It was just like, okay, yeah, just whatever. I really like the Justice League, and I like all of the big key characters and their interactions and everything, but it just seemed like they were stretching really hard. You've got some great stories that are already there. Just use those, and then if you really need an excuse to make Batman fight Superman or whatever, just do it in the versus mode. You don't need to shoehorn in some alternate reality garbage story, because I'm so damned tired of those.
Yeah. So to get back to the story, after the game picks up with the Joker's been arrested, Metropolis is in ruins, Lois Lane and the unborn super baby are dead. Superman comes in and basically torches the Joker, or punches his heart out or something like that. Which, you know, for the guys that made Mortal Kombat, perhaps one of the goriest video games ever made, I could stand to see a little bit more blood in this game. Like, I don't know. You didn't have to...
Is it so much to ask that I want to see Superman, like, just tear someone in half?
Well, this should be the game to see that in, right? But
Yeah. I mean, I know it goes against his code and everything, but I mean, come on. You already had him fight like Shang Tsung. Aren't all bets off at this point? It's like, if I want to see, you know, Aquaman dressed up like Hedwig and the Angry Inch fighting Tom and Jerry in Fenway Park, just do it, because you're already in Stupid Town.
You heard that, NetherRealm. Get on it. We need some DLC. Like next week, we'll totally do it. But so Superman actually gets pissed off enough to murder the shit out of the Joker, and from there, apparently, he becomes the authoritarian, totalitarian ruler of this version of Earth, and he hooks up with Sinestro, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, and so then you flash over to the current good Justice League, and a few guys get pulled over in this parallel world to execute this really stupid plan that Batman has that requires 4 really specific people to do or whatever. It all boils down to basically a reason for, just like Jason said, a reason for you to play as certain villains fighting heroes and kind of be on the good side, and a reason for certain heroes to fight other heroes because they've been corrupted by Superman's Nazi regime or whatever the fuck it is.
I love you trying to make sense out of this convoluted story. Like, I played the game and I even can't follow exactly what you're saying.
It's just, at the end of the day, like, here's the problem with the story. One, it's stupid, but not like good comic book stupid. It's just bad stupid. Like, you had a whole series of villains, you had a whole series of heroes. I think I would have much rather, and I don't know about knocking the game for this, but I would have much rather just seen a straight up heroes, you know, Justice League versus Injustice Gang storyline.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just have a straight playthrough where they're having to fight the bad guys, and then in the versus mode, then you can have, you know, Wonder Woman going up against Green Lantern or whatever.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to make sense. But if you're going to do a story mode, don't try to make some convoluted nonsense.
Yeah.
Because this is what happens.
This
is what happens, Aquaman.
So there's that, and then there's also I don't even know whether to knock the game for this, you guys, but like in Mortal Kombat 9, the story mode literally had you play every single character that was available in the game. Like, you got 3 or 4 fights, at least as far as I can remember. I mean, I don't know, you guys, do you remember? I thought that was what it was, because the story mode in Mortal Kombat was long. Like, went through all 3 Mortal Kombat games, and you played you played Cyrax and Sector before they turned into robots and shit. Like, it just went on and on and on and on and on. Whereas here they tended to cherry pick, and you didn't get to play absolutely everybody before you were done.
Well, to be honest, this felt kind of long as well. Maybe it's because I was just so frustrated of like wanting the game to finish already, but it did feel like it just dragged on a little bit. Maybe because there was nothing that engaging going on with the storyline.
Right. Well, yeah, maybe that's the case. So that's the story mode. Kind of forgettable. I mean, it was okay, but I don't know. There's just a lot. There's better stuff out there. But what's nice is that story mode is backed up by a really fantastic fighting game system, which I really enjoyed, because it was like they took the Mortal Kombat 9 engine. A lot of this is very much the same as what you saw in Mortal Kombat 9. The way the super meter can be used to power up individual attacks, or if you save it all up, you could do one kind of like earth-shattering, really, really powerful attack.
Which are all ridiculous, by the way. Like,
yeah.
I think my favorite one is like Lex Luthor has this
His
thing
orbital strike.
Yeah, it's like he calls an orbital strike from space with the satellites, and what you see is the entire U.S. continent just being vaporized. I'm like, what, just to kill one fucking guy?
I just like it that there's a slight imbalance in some of these super moves, and Superman punches you into orbit and then punches you back down to the earth, and Catwoman
It's over.
Scratches your face a little bit.
Yeah. Right. I wanted to see one where you're going up against, where you're playing as Batman or something, and his super move is, just barely into the beginning of the fight, your opponent just collapses and said, I laced your food with a powerful paralytic 6 hours ago. This fight was over before it began.
That was the other thing I wanted to say about this story. So this is story in this alternate universe. Everybody has turned to essentially evil totalitarian Supermanscape, except Batman. It's got to be Batman.
Batman would not do that. Batman's always a good guy. Yeah.
I'm starting to get a little. I mean, God, I don't even want to go here, but I'm just starting to get a little bit tired of Batman could do no wrong. Superman turns into an evil totalitarian Hitler dick that's in cahoots with fucking Sinestro, for God's sake, and keeps Doomsday around like a pet. But Batman, no, he's a good guy now. He's the last good guy in a desperate race to put everything back together again. I don't know. We give the Flash some love from time to time. Is all I'm saying, DC.
Yeah, Flash is the heart and soul of the whole thing. He's like the good, likable guy. Like Batman. Let's all remember that. Yeah, he's a great hero, but he's also kind of a dickhead.
So anyway, back to the actual fighting system. The biggest change here from probably the Mortal Kombat games comes from the fact that there is no block button, that it's all Street Fighter hit back to block. They've also taken out a lot of the, like in Mortal Kombat, there were a lot of moves, like the uppercuts and sweeps and stuff that were the same for all the characters in the game, whereas here, these characters all play very differently. They
really do.
Yeah, they have a lot of very specific moves and powers and tactics and strategies that are specific to the character, most notably in the fact that every character has a button that you press that gives them kind of a different type of power. And they range from like Superman, you hit the button and it charges him up for a certain amount of time, so his attacks are more powerful.
Like a little stat boost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Batman has batarangs that he could chuck at his enemies, so that's quite cool.
And then you've got ones I can't remember whether it was I think it was the Joker actually has it when you hit it for him, he does a parry, and then the more times you parry, the faster his speed gets. So it's really, very different. All the characters play in a very different way, and it's great because it means that you can really find the character that speaks more than anything towards your own specific play style. You got characters like Deathstroke that are more ranged. You got characters like Solomon Grundy or Doomsday that are more kind of close up or grapplers. Characters like Superman that can fly, Superman and Green Lantern and stuff like that. So there's really a very wide array of different fighting styles for you to choose from this game, and I really appreciated it. I always felt like when I started playing a new character that half the fun was just figuring out all the different cool stuff that character could actually do.
Yeah, I really appreciated how when your character's dialogue changes sometimes for certain opponents. I thought that was nice. I hadn't seen that before. I think it should continue on in future fighting games.
Yeah, that's specifically a lot of times tied into one of the new things that they have in here, which is the Clash mode, where if certain gameplay elements are present, you can kind of initiate this. It's kind of like a blind auction, like a bidding war almost.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think that really added much. That it just annoyed me whenever that came up because it felt like such an interruption to the action.
I don't know. I wasn't using it at all until I got into playing online. And you realize that if you have a full super meter and the other person doesn't have any super meter, and they still have health left, hey, they have more health than you initiate that clash and you win it, you can get 30% of your health back, which can really turn the tide in a later battle. They've really done a lot here to take the kind of the Marvel vs. Capcom or even Street Fighter, most of the games have these days of the little meter that builds up as you get hit or as you hit the other player, and turn it into ways to really turn the tide of what's going on. Because just adding You can add, an additional power to a regular special attack. You can make certain attacks unblockable or not even unblockable, but to the point where they can't be interrupted when you do them, which for the stage transitions that we'll talk about later is absolutely essential in some cases. Or you can save it up for this clash that you can do once per fight. I don't know. There's just a lot of different ways to do things besides just fireball, 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 uppercut, fireball, 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 uppercut.
And lots of all that interactive stuff that's on the screen.
Absolutely, yeah. The stages in here are probably. I don't think I've ever seen. I've seen some stage transitions in like some of the Tekken and Street Fighter games, but the stages here can almost make or break a fight when you think about it.
Yeah, they're cool, but it can be a pain in the arse trying to find exactly where the level transition is, because I'll be trying to back an opponent into the left-hand corner of the screen where I was supposed to put him in the right-hand corner. Yeah. And I just get my arse owned, basically, because I'm trying to do the specific button and the other guys are too quick. So it's a bit more of a gamble with me. But yeah. They were really cool, though. Like seeing your opponent flying through a skyscraper or chucking someone down a cliff. It always adds more flavor to the fight.
Yeah, it's cool, but I feel like it could have been more epic, Mm-hmm. I guess depending on the fighter, but it still felt like, I don't know. It reminded me that fighting games, I think, need to take that next step into bigger, broader, more interactive environments. This just seemed like window dressing almost.
Really?
Yeah.
I felt completely the opposite. I thought that the stage transition stuff, the only problem that I had with the stage transition stuff is that unlike a lot of the other mechanics in the game, there was no way for you to cancel out of them. There wasn't a good way if you were going through the stage transition, you're just going to lose a big chunk of life. There's not a good way there's not any way that you can avoid that. There's kind of two different things that happen in the stages. First of all, there's things scattered throughout the stage that you can use against the other player. There'll be a car, if you're Superman and you're by this car and you hit the button, he'll pick it up and hit the other person with it. But then it's not the same for every fighter. If you're Batman and you're by this car, you'll jump up and flip over the character so you can actually put him into the corner. So you've got that stuff that respawns that can actually kind of make or break a fight. I saw some fights online that were pretty much entirely decided by the fact that one person was standing next to this barrel that they could throw, and it kind of comes down to the wire, and it's hard to avoid some of those stage attacks. But then the other thing that you get is what we were talking about, which is stage transitions, where if you back somebody into a corner and you hit them, they basically go to a different stage and they take a bunch of damage in this little cutscene that goes between that stage and the next one. And I don't know about you guys, but when I was playing online, I hardly ever saw that happen.
I saw that will happen all the time with me.
I was always using it. I was This is my only chance. I'm going to stand by this car, and when they get there, I'm going to hit them with that car, and then they're going to beat the shit out of me.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the actual transition to a different part of the story.
Yeah. The transition levels, yeah. That rarely happened for me.
They're really difficult to pull off. The thing that you have to do is a very slow attack usually to get the person into the other place. So at least online I didn't see a lot. But yeah, I saw people who online had stages memorized, and it kind of factored into the gameplay pretty heavily. If they were on their home turf stage, they knew where all the stuff was, and they would, they had tactics to get to whatever they needed to throw at you to jerk all your shit up. But while it's not, a reinvention, it does just add. It's almost like this game is a kind of a standard-ish fighter that adds 5 to 12 different layers of crazy shit on top of that, so that you've got enough stuff that you could choose from. That at the end of the day, you've got a game that plays very differently than Street Fighter Cross Tekken or even Mortal Kombat 9. I threw Mortal Kombat 9 back in and played it. Mortal Kombat 9 is much more just two dudes fighting, whereas there is a lot of other stuff going on in this game around just straight up two dudes fighting.
Well, they should have added more craziness to it, I think. I definitely would have loved if they had more levels that during the transitions. They just have 2 per match. And it's kind of stupid. You'll be fighting a guy in the Batcave. You throw him down further into the cave, into this crevice, and then you fly down there and you carry on beating the shit out of him. But then when you do it again, you go up into this elevator that just takes you up to the where you were before. It's kind of like, it reminded me of the chicken fight from Family Guy, where they're just going down a fucking building and they're going right back up where they started from.
Well, see, that's what I was kind of getting at, in that, I don't know, I really think it's time for us, and this is kind of a bigger argument, but it's time for us to see like the next evolution in fighting games where we start seeing maybe big arenas, maybe fully active, fully destructible environments, and I guess part of that, it would have to be a 3D game. And I know that that's the big dividing line in fighting games, 2D versus 3D. But I just really feel like that, this was hinting at a bunch of stuff that would really maybe appeal to me. Maybe not to purists, especially not to 2D purists, but I don't know. It feels like, that it's showing promise of something that could be just an entirely new type of fighting game that we really haven't seen much of yet.
I completely agree with Jason. I mean, if they're going to go crazy, just go all out crazy. Balls swinging. I want to, like, go through the entire city, destroy every skyscraper. Like, that kind of crazy.
It's funny because I thought that, I understand what you guys are saying, but I think that a lot of my lust for seeing that sort of destruction was fulfilled by just seeing that, well, while you're having the fight, a lot of times the backgrounds are just shredding to a pulp. Like, stuff is blowing up and crumbling and statues are falling down and just all
Which
kinds
made
of
no
crazy-
sense ever. Like, I was Batman and fighting the Joker. I punch him, and for some reason, the statue of Superman falls over in the background. I mean, like, what? He fell down really hard, and that caused a tremor. Like, what was that about?
Yeah, and then like in the Watchtower, like we pointed out in our happy hour, Martian Manhunter's just gonna stand there like an asshole, just like watching us fight all these bad guys. It's like, John, you are insanely powerful. Help me, you dick.
I tell you what, that, like, there were at least a couple things in the story mode that, like, I'm gonna just segue over here real quick to just nitpick because, yeah, like, that bothered me. There's a place, though, in the story mode where you fight Doomsday in the Fortress of Solitude, where right behind you is Doomsday, and you're like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, hold on, which one of you is, like, Robot Doomsday? This is the hipster faux hawk Doomsday, and then you got classic
He's
Doomsday back there.
Maybe it's like the good Doomsday from another parallel universe, just checking things out.
There was a place that I was going to make a video and put it up, but I just got busy and didn't do it. Where there's a bunch of mini games in the story mode where they ask you to kind of do these little button press quick time event things. And in one of them, Black Adam is throwing cars at Good Superman, and Good Superman is blowing them up with his heat vision. And I looked behind Black Adam and I went, he's pulling those cars out of traffic, man. Like, there's people in there. And Superman is just fucking disintegrating those goddamn cars.
I could guess his rationale. I mean, like, the Superman is not in our world, he's in a parallel world, so he's like, fuck it, whatever. I don't get to do this much, so let's have at it.
I bet Superman goes to parallel Earth and just like, well, I don't know any of these motherfuckers. Fuck them, man. So in addition to the standard single player, you've got the Star Labs mode, which is kind of like the challenge tower from Mortal Kombat, where you've got a series of challenges where some artificial restrictions are put on the player. None of them have any voice acting or anything, but there's a fair amount of stuff. Some of them can also be incredibly frustrating, but fortunately, as long as you have enough stars to open up whatever the next challenge is, the game will let you skip ahead, which is pretty cool. There's also the battle mode, which is straight up ladder, but then there's a whole bunch of modifiers that you can unlock that'll let you play the game with various different handicaps turned on, where you're constantly losing life, or I don't know, what are some of the other ones, you guys? There was one that was like just straight heroes, just straight villains. There was one that I looked at and went, really? Where it was fight the entire roster with one health bar.
With Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah. So there's plenty of different ways to kind of keep yourself occupied. There's a full training mode, there's a full practice mode, and then there is the online, which I'm happy to say we all got a chance to play. So show of hands real fast, who did not get their ass totally kicked online?
I'm not going to say if I'm raising my hand or not, but I think we all know the answer to that.
Yes.
I
hear crickets right now.
I don't think anybody has their hand up at this point.
No.
Because I had to go find a room full of like 4-year-old children to play in order to actually win a fight. Because the people who have the combo system in this game down, whoo shit,
Jesus.
Especially, it seems like when I was playing that there were some problems, or maybe I just hadn't figured out yet how to cancel out of some of the stuff with a few of the, like, did you guys have any problems fighting Solomon Grundy? Did you find somebody that was really good at playing Solomon Grundy that would just cancel through your attacks and grab you over and over and over and over again?
Oh, yeah.
No, my problem was with the Flash, man. That guy never touched the ground. He was just constantly butt pummeling me. Like, it was not fun. I'll say that.
Butt pummeling, huh?
Yeah.
Barry Allen, a notorious rapist.
So yeah, the multiplayer is divided up into you've got ranked matches, you've got unranked player matches. There's kind of 1v1. There's King of the Hill, and there's another mode. What was it called? Help me out here, guys. What was that other one? King of the Hill and Survival. Yeah, and those two modes are pretty cool, where you have a bunch of people in like a chat room essentially spectating, and then every so often your turn will come up and you'll go in and you'll fight. King of the Hill kind of lets you wager XP on who's going to be the winner, and Survivor has a thing where I believe it's like you have one health bar and you carry it over to whatever the next match is. So
I hated that queue, man. Like it was like dreading the inevitable. Like as soon as it came to my turn, I was like, okay. So I lie flat down on the table, take my pants off, and just wait for the inevitable. Let's just get this over with.
Third
And
rule
cry
of
about
Fight
it later.
Third rule of Fight Club is if it's your first time, you have to fight. So it's like you're standing there just like, oh shit, here it comes. Okay,
yep.
it's over. It's over.
Actually, it's funny. I had not felt the rage in a while, you guys. I had not felt the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 rage of just like, well, what do you want from me? What do you want from me? Huh? Fine.
You felt like Giovanni Ribisi in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
Just give us a fucking chance.
There's also, you can create essentially public or private rooms, and there are a few online where you can basically just challenge anybody that's in this room. And there's also full voice chat, in a lot of the rooms you also have a text chat that you can use. And it's been a while since I played a fighting game online, but I thought that the netcode on this was fucking fantastic.
It was tight. I heard from some friends about some problems that they had. I didn't experience any of that. Mm-hmm. And I'm on just the most basic cable connection here at home. It was great. So I don't know what bottlenecks my friends were experiencing, where in the line that they were having problems, but I didn't experience any of that. And as much as I wish I could say, well, it was lagging. It was clearly lagging.
Right.
I can't.
All right. Well, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there's there's your standard. You have a little hero card that you can customize with your own, unlockable face and dumb stuff like that. But you know what? I think it's time to give some ratings, you guys, because I think this is pretty much it. So, Nick, why don't you go first?
Oh, damn it. Okay.
No piggybacking, Nick.
God damn it. Okay, fine. Well, I'm not too much of a fan of fighting games, although I did find this quite interesting. I mean, as lame as the story was, it was funny because it was so bad. So I did enjoy, some aspects of it. Mm-hmm. The fighting mechanics are really enjoyable. I wish they went just a little bit more crazy into it, and I would have loved it if at the very end of the game you unlocked Lois Lane as a character, so you could beat the shit out of her as Superman. That would have been badass.
Or is that just an alternate skin for Doomsday, right?
Yeah.
Well, so what do you give it?
I give it a high bargain bin.
Okay. Jason?
This was a lot of fun. It was accessible for even newbies like myself, and as long as, if you're a noob, you're playing someone who's maybe missing a couple of fingers or an eye or something like that, then it's really fun, because, the odds are even. But in spite of the stupid story and the horrible cutscenes, which look like PS2 era animation, I still give it a full price. Low full price. I liked it. But I just feel like the fighting game formula needs a big kick in the ass, It needs the next big thing.
It needs more testosterone. That's what it needs.
That's what it needs. No.
Right.
But yeah, it's, I think it was good. Even if you're not a fighting game fan, you're probably going to want to pick this up. If you're a DC Comics fan, you're probably going to want to pick this up, even though you're not going to be rabidly nuts about it. But yeah, it's good.
Okay. I maybe had a little bit more fun with this than either of you guys did. I thought that I thought there were a few problems with the stage transition and those super attacks where you just had animations, like the win animations a lot of times went on a little bit too long, where I wish there was a way to just turn that shit off and be like, I just want to play the game. I want to kick some ass. But other than that, I mean, you have a really good fighting game based on the solid foundation, a little bit faster than Mortal Kombat, but it has a lot of kind of interesting ideas about the whole clash mechanics and the way that you use your super meters and stuff. And it's nice just to see a fighting game that isn't as frenetic as a lot of the current Japanese fighting games are. I really like NetherRealm's work, and I really like what they've done here. I think there's plenty of stuff to do when you're offline, and I think there's plenty of stuff to do when you're online, even if you do get your ass kicked all the time. Like Jason said, the game is a little ugly in places, and some of those faces just look weird, especially Bruce Willis, Lex Luthor, just kept freaking me out the entire time. But at the end of the day, I think there's enough here that I'm going to give it just a straight-up full price because I really enjoyed it. So that's it, you guys. We've played Injustice. I
would like to reenact for you guys my almost moment of glory, if you can.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Murphy.
I was playing as Hawk Girl, don't judge me, fighting Superman online. Victory was assured. And here's what happened. Come, son of Jor-El, kneel. Oh, son of a bitch! Really?
Get your people into position. Occupy any law enforcement you can.
I'm on it.
Well, look what I found. Time to end the insurgency.
And me without my camera.
This is Batman. Code Red.
It's payback time.